Good morning. It's almost afternoon. um, Today I have a treat for you. Um, I'm going to introduce some terms, and these terms are often misconstrued and used in a capacity around faith circles, denominations, um, beliefs, dogmas, and people only get the surface level of understanding. And not saying that all people, because I'm certain that there's others that have the capacity to discern beyond what they are reading or what is being instructed to them. But a little background. Uh, I struggled with a lot of questions. And in those questions, I thought I could find an avenue of an answer by going to church. And I stepped foot in denominational churches, non-denominational churches, evangelical churches, Baptist churches, and I could never find someone to give me an adequate answer to the questions that would constantly be coming up. What is my purpose in this life? What is sin? What is transgression? What is a grievance? I would always get it met with a surface level definition that I could have got from looking in a Bible, or in the Bible as it defines it, or I could have looked up in a Webster dictionary and got information that way as well. Problem is, it was not answering the in-depthness of the questions that were surfacing. It wasn't until many, many, many years later and a lot of research, a lot of connecting dots, and the gift of discernment came to the surface that I would actually find the answers within myself. A lot of times people confuse faith, relationship, religion, certain dogmas, and all religion is actually just man-made. You will get truths within them, but you will also get an aspect of ego as well. And without a discerning capacity within yourself to see through the illusion that circumvents around the truth, you may be a blind sheep being led by a blind pastor. This is not to put anyone down or to denounce any of their hard work in theological studies, but I have found, and this is in my own experience, and you may have a different experience. You may have never stepped foot in church because it didn't resonate with you. That's completely fine, because what I am about to discuss and share with you has no denominational. In fact, it's universal. Okay? And it's going to be defined a lot more clear than you might get from someone standing behind a pulpit telling you what it is. Okay? But branching off into this, I wanted to start the first word, sin. When that comes to mind, what is your reaction to that word? Are you recalling it from your thoughts, or are you digging deep within yourself to get an answer of what that is? Now, if you were to step foot in church, or you were probably to do a Google research, you would get a Christian or Catholic biasness of what sin is. And it's defined as going against the Torah, or going against the commandments of God that were inscribed in the Old Testament. Okay? I'm very nervous about this because I know it's going to ruffle feathers, but it's in the uncomfortableness that we actually end up growing. And just like you, I was uncomfortable to approach the magnitude of these terms, because I thought it was going to do something to me. Rather, what it actually ended up doing is opening my ability to be knowledgeable in a higher thought perspective. Okay. You might find the definition as defiling of the law of God based on the Torah. You might find in the New Testament that sins, transgressions, and grievances are committed acts against Supreme Being or God. Other circles might call it Source, Great Spirit. But they've all been forgiven based on the Christian theology. Meaning that blood was spilled, body was broken, and that all sin was paid for. Past, present, future. But yet, in churches, we hold people to this sin. And you might find sin equals separation, or sin equals hell and fury, or sin equals separateness from divine, where actually sin is the thought, the emotion, the action, and the belief that you cast towards, that's right, each other. Because in the scripture, it says God is within us. So if God is within us, and we are creating judgments and casting stones, and we're telling someone else that they're not measuring up to our expectations, we are actually committing a sinful act against God, who is within that other person. But it's all been forgiven. The only thing that that weighs you down is because you believe that you still hold those and you haven't released them yet. Excuse me. The God within you, or the source within you, cannot be tainted and has never left you, has never separated from you. It's always been within you. But we get taught in a certain capacity, and we formulate in our minds that a person knows what they're saying because they're in a position of authority in theological studies and statements to render proper knowledge, but really only scratches the surface of it. In Buddhism, it's the defilement of the mind, defilement of the heart, defilement of the body. Okay? Hinduism is the karmic acts, the good and the bad. What you do to your neighbor, what you do to someone that can't even hear you, just glancing at someone in a judgmental way is creating a transgressive act. Okay? Grievances. That is the state of which that person has been left in after casting your transgression. Which transgression is the act, grievance is the end result, and sin is the acknowledgement of how you should treat other people and how you treat yourself. Okay? You can sin against yourself, just as you can sin against other people. When you say someone is an abomination because they don't fit the paradigm and your acceptance, when you withhold that compassionate and that love within you, you have sinned. You have cast sin judgment upon that person. And you now reap what you sow. But if the kingdom of God is within, then why are we seeking pastors, confessional booths, to be absolved of that which has already been forgiven? The act of service shouldn't be a spectator or a spectacle for others to bear witness to. Because what you do in secret, they don't know until you bring it to light. But you know, and the source within you knows. And it will come into your experience for you to resolve it, express it, and release it. But then we have this idea of separation, that we're separated from source or divine connectedness, divine oneness with God, or any other nomenclature that you would identify him with, or names. And I say him just because it's a masculine term, but honestly, there's no form, there's no gender, there's not even a carnal body for biasness. That's why God is without sin, because he has no carnal body. We are the carnal body, of which he dwells within, but he's within a space that's within us that can't be tainted. Pretty cool, huh? But when you sin against the dwelling place that God is resting within, and I say resting because in the place within you, but God's never asleep. He's always diligently working. He's always doing his job, even when we don't acknowledge it. A lot of times we end up not calling upon him until something crazy or chaotic comes into our life. But when everything's going well, and everything's sunshine and rainbows, we forget he's there, because we get caught up in the moment. And then when the next circumstance comes in to realign our focus of what we hold within us, we call out again. It's kind of like that Jelly Roll song, only call him when I need a favor. And you end up getting so blindsided by circumstances that you forget that you're already a blessing, and everything is provided for you. Everything in existence is a reflection of what you hold within you. Yeah. But your thoughts, your feelings, your physicality, your words you say, it's all with the spirit essence of God. You have power within you, but sometimes we use it for ill-mannered purposes. We look at something, and in some capacity we're saying that person's not measuring up to our carnal standards. But if you had the eyes to see of the unique divine within them, you wouldn't say it. You would probably be awestruck, because they're living a life experience to bring out their great purpose, but some of the life experiences they have to learn through, just as much as you have to learn through. Do you still feel like you're holding sin? Do you still feel like you are transgressing? Do you still feel like you have created grievances to yourself? If you put yourself down, you look at your image and you say, you don't like what you see, that's a grievance. If you say, I'm not enough, that's a grievance. When you measure somebody else and say they're not enough, maybe not in those exact words, but in a formulaic way, you're saying that they have no worth, no value. Well, God's source within them has now been grievanced against. See, your enemy isn't people. Your enemy is the ego that casts the illusion of reality. It's truth. But don't take my truth for it. That's my personal truth. I didn't get it from a book. I dug within myself to bring the answer out. But what is your path? What questions have you been struggling with? What have you been wrestling with that has not been able to be answered by someone else? Seek within. Shut down the ego. Go to a still mind to shut down the ego. And then dig within. They say if you seek, you will find. So seek within, and you will get your answer. Okay? Not a single one of you out there has anything to be afraid of. Not a single one of you out there is separated from the presence of God, or source, or any other name that you want to use that will fit your comfortability. It's all ego. It's all it's been. If you see demons, it's because the ego has taken the power you have given it and gave it thought form in which you are experiencing the personification of that which you have taken on within you. That's all it is. Everything that you experience out there, and you can tell that whether or not it's real or an illusion that has taken thought form, because you'll be the only one that sees it. If it came out of you. If it came out of someone else and you have a discerning eye to see through the veil, that's different. And we'll go into that in another time when we talk about supernatural characters, entities, and cosmic beings. Yes, extraterrestrial cosmic beings do exist, but they do not exist in the realm of which we think they do. Okay? The ego's illusion of sin is where you get the idea that you are separated. If you rely on your physical senses, which is part of ego, where ego only gets what the physical senses are receiving and builds its idea of your reality and works under the subconscious and unconscious level, you're going to experience separation. But when you shut it down and you actually go into the upper room, that's right, upper room is your higher mind. The Christ oil that gets secreted from the pineal gland comes down your vertebrae. Guess how many vertebrae you have? 33. Guess how many years Christ lived? 33. Still find it unusual? Find it coincidental? Or is everything coming together and making more sense? Now we can go further into detail in all of the scriptures and show you exactly what your internal spirit body, your internal physical body, your internal energetic body, and the declaring with the allegorical sense of Scripture and the ministry. Great spiritual teachers and advisors of world religions and faiths, before they started their ministry, they studied in depth to get a clear understanding of what their culture already thought they knew, and then built up from that foundation to show examples and expressions of compassion, kindness, forgiveness, grace, mercy, love. And if you're familiar with biblical terms, love covers a multitude of sins. The greatest gift you can give is love. And that's not this carnal love. That's this source love. Source love means it's a love that's untainted, cannot be earned, but you give it anyways. That nothing you can do will tell me that you have earned it, but rather through my own grace and mercy, I give it willingly, without any conditions that you have to meet. Yeah. But in every belief structure around the world, there is one unanimous thing in every world religion, every world's spiritual base. It's all circumvented around one word: love. The culmination of every single thing out there: love. Love yourself, love your neighbor, love your environment. Be kind, which is another act of love. Generosity, which is giving your time, giving blessings, is also an aspect of divine love. Yeah. Yeah. Sin, transgression, grievances. You've probably been taught something different. Or you probably got the face value level instead of an in-depth understanding of it and went from there. Or stopped at there and started speaking the same words that someone else has spoken to you and adopted it as your own ideal belief, and it became a limiting belief that's possibly getting in the way of you actually becoming well. But the power of God and Source, love, forgiveness, grace, sovereignty, peace, comfort, joy, happiness, truth, discern, courage, strength. They all dwell within you because He dwells within you. That's right. And those are the gifts that you have come here with. The expression of fear, the expression of doubt, the expression of timidity, anxiousness, panic, the expression of insecurity. You didn't come here with that. You learned to become that because of an experience that has happened in your life. You didn't come with sin. You thought you donned the persona of sin, transgression, and grievances before you were even consciously aware in your carnal self. Remember, we have full knowing and awareness before we come into physical form. Okay. But how do you treat other people? You might see a slogan somewhere or a bumper sticker or on a person's hat or a shirt that says "Be kind." It's not just somebody wearing an apparel. It's a message that someone is wearing to bring it to your forefront that to make yourself well, start utilizing the gifts that you actually have within you. When you are kind to yourself, you'll be kind to other people. When you are loving to yourself, you will be loving to other people, and they will reflect that back to you because it dwells within you. Now, you will have a balancing act. You will have those who show discourtesy. You'll have those that are very highly energetic in the higher frequency of those higher emotions and show you love, show you compassion, show you forgiveness, grace, and mercy. But you're also going to feel the lower vibrations as well, the lower frequencies, because those are within you too. Because when it was shown to you, in some way, you allowed it to come into part of you, and you created an identity of that, put it in your file cabinet, and that identity later came on, and you either seen it through your mind's eye, or you've seen it in your dreamscape, or you are experiencing a battle within yourself that is replicating in your external environment. So in order to clear the external environment of that waging war, the waging war within you has to be remedied. Okay? The source within you is the same source within everybody else. Same. Absolutely. And this is a communion in the Christian belief system, is when his body was broken, his essence of his body was given unto all, broken into pieces. Go back to the subatomic level. That subatomic level now got pushed into the universe, and the universe responded in kind, giving unto each. Okay? Drink ye this wine in remembrance of me, for it is the blood of the new covenant, which covers all, not some, covers all sin, all transgressions, all grievances. The only sin, transgression, and grievances that you hold within you is the ones you take within you and that which you cast out. And when I say cast out, you're casting it out at someone rather than releasing it out of you. Okay? Remember, experience, express, release. Release out of you, not at someone. Okay? But when you release the basis of fear, and that's where separation comes from, is the conditioning of fear. The conditioning of never being connected. The conditioning of separation. It's all been words. That's all it's been, is words that you have accepted as living entity. But fear, it can stop you in your tracks. It can stop you from your growth. It can stop you from processing and going higher in your growth, in your evolutionary state of spirit, mind, body, heart. Because we have taken on the information, but a lot of the information became misinformation. Remember, truth in a veil. Truth is always within a veil. So you have to pierce through the veil to see the truth. Now that veil was separated upon death of Christ. Yes? If you agree, say yes. And that veil was the thing that separated between our access and our full knowing and awareness of the source within us. There was no more separation. There never was a separation. We just became blind and forgetful of whom we were. But we fear what we don't know. The reason why is because ego doesn't know. And we rely on ego to tell us what is and isn't. Ego is a culmination of historical experiences, historical statements, historical messages, historical teachings, historical expressions, figures that have come into your life and given you a nomenclature. That's all ego is. Ego doesn't know the future. So it's going to come in and convince you of everything you've done in your past. It's going to tell you, well, this happened. And keep bringing it into your forefront. But ego has no power. The only power that it has is what you gave it to it. And a lot of that is we don't want to deal with something in the moment, so we push it out of our view. And it goes into our file cabinet. And in our file cabinet, that's where ego's at. But also, in order to make ourselves well, we're going to re-experience those things until we release them. That is not part of us. It's not your fault. You're conditioned to believe a certain way. You went into something thinking that you would be guided to your greater aspect of yourself, and instead you were compounded with dogma. Dogma is the identity of theological trash buried on top of you. How you dress, what lifestyle you should live, what way you should be before you can walk into the doors of a church. Sorry, walk through the doors of the church. Don't walk into the door. It might be closed. But every single world religion out there, the basis of everything, and each one of them culminates to one thing: love. How often do you show love? In your thoughts, in your emotions, in your actions, in your words? Are you quick to frustration? Are you quick to anger? When something doesn't go right or something upsets you in the day, are you quick to react? Or are you slow to react? Do you slow yourself long enough to still your mind and be in the still point of neutrality? That's the only time you're going to be able to see through everything that's being shown to you, as being in a state of neutrality and a calm mind. If your mind is chaotic, you won't be able to see through it. You'll start labeling, you'll start identifying it with historical experiences. And historical experiences is ego. Ego loves a chaotic mind. Ego loves a monkey mind, which jumps around. Okay? You might be tempted by ego to believe a certain way because historical references showed this. But ego doesn't know its future. So it can't give you any agreements or disagreements about what you want to experience in your life or how you want to change your life. It will find discomfort because you're breaking the patternization of conditioning that it's become used to. It is in the unknowing or in the dark that we pierce through and shine light into. Remember, knowing, light, truth is all synonymous. But let's let go of the identity of separation. Let's let go of the identity that we hold within us of transgressions, unforgiveness, a sinful act that we might have done or we might have had done to us. The act of forgiveness isn't for making someone else well, it's to make yourself well and then replicate it in your experience because it's within you. But let's step into a new light. The real you. Beneath everything, all the conditionings, beneath all the personalities that you have donned, all your security blankets that you have wrapped yourself up in order to survive up to a certain point, and break free of those binds, break free of those chains, those anchors that keep weighing you down. It keeps coming up in you in your experience because you haven't addressed it. You keep addressing external people, places, and things rather than addressing the internal you, what you hold within yourself. If you want out there to change, you have to change within. You have to see within yourself what it is that you are carrying and release it. Yeah. But we hold revivals in churches. We hold healing circles in churches. But people aren't getting well. Some people might. But we're not getting well because we're holding on to the obscurity of truth. We're holding on to the fabrication of statements within us. And it's making us unwell. Physiologically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. It comes in our aura. It comes in the interactions with other people. But you don't have to keep it. You don't need a spiritual advisor to come over and place their hands on you to get rid of it. That's your divine right to let go. Let go of the attachment. Let go of the things that you thought you might have known. And open yourself up to the real you that is within you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do an invitation. And this invitation is not based on Christian theology, Catholicism, which is a branch of Christian theology. It's not based on Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam. But I'm going to call and give you an invitation to release every bind, every chain, every anchor of misinformation that you have taken on and placed within yourself. Every identity that does not serve you. Every ideal that is creating a limiting belief within you that is stepping in the way of your own wellness, your own healing. All right? First of all, thank you for coming. I'm practicing the art of gratitude and appreciation. Whoever this video comes to, it was meant to come to you. Whomever takes the time to actually watch this video and receive the content of it, you are meant to receive it in the perfect time at the perfect moment. It's never rushed, never early. It's always on time. Okay? If you feel like you have released a lot out of you, go ahead and pause the video. Take a moment for yourself. Come back to calm and continue. Okay? It's completely normal. It's completely understandable. And there are going to be emotions. There are going to be thought fields challenged. There's going to be probably physiological signs as well. But we're going to transform your life through your help. Okay? When you go like this, you are in the act of receiving. When you go like this, unless you are sending out energy to someone, you are in the state of blocking. Okay? When you go like this, you are in the state of releasing all that you hold within you. So as I invite you to release your binds, release your anchors, release your chains and the things that keep you prisoned, see in your mind's eye the grayness coming off of you, and be free. Okay? Repeat this after me. I choose to release every bind, every chain, every anchor that is within me, that is holding me back from reaching my truest potential and reuniting me with my truest self. I reclaim the sacredness of oneness and connectedness with divine spark, source, God, whichever term you use, within myself. I now use the act of compassion, love, forgiveness, grace, and mercy to release me of all sins, transgressions, and grievances done unto me by my own hand and by the hands of others, and unto others that I have done from my own mouth, my own thoughts, my own emotions, my own actions. Behold, all things made new. I release, I release, I release. Believe that you have released, and you will be released from all binds. Allow doubt to come in the way, and will sabotage. Remember, we quiet the ego. We put ourselves into stillness and within our secret chamber. Our secret chamber is within. Nothing can get into it except for us and what we allow. Okay? You are free. And whom I have made free is free indeed. That's not my voice. That is source voice. That is words that you will probably read in scripture somewhere. I'm not using the Bible. I'm not going to quote passages. I am not going to tell you that you need to study it and meditate on it, because it already says, meditate on my word. But we end up only at the surface level, and that's what weighs us down. So I tell you, release that which is in you, and it will be free of you. If you feel like you need an energetic cleanse, you're going to have one. And you're going to feel it physiologically, you're going to feel it emotionally, you're going to feel it mentally. Do not be afraid, for I have not given you a spirit of fear. Continue that line. Google it if you have to. And be open to the new possibilities and experiences that await you for your truest self to come up and discover your purpose. I'll give you a hint. Your purpose has something to do with every single trial, every lesson that you have gone through, every experience you have gone through. Your purpose will come out. It has been training you, and that training you can't get in school. You can't get through a spiritual advisor. That is your path that you have received. And in that path, your purpose comes to light. When they say trust yourself, you're not trusting the ego. You're trusting your true self to see through all that there is. I love you. I bid you happiness, joy, freedom, courage, strength, peace, calmness, and renewal. May the flames of the Spirit transform your current status and renew you completely, wholly, beyond every measure of understanding. Be well, be well, be well.